It's Monday, December 30th, 2024. I'm Candace Kelly, sitting in for Roland Martin. Now, here's what's coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered live on the Black Star Network. Since this is the last Monday of the year, we're going to take a look at some of the biggest stories in 2024. We'll also preview what to expect from Congress, the Supreme Court, and the elections in the new year. Our panel will also make a few predictions of their own. It's time to bring in the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
All right, so we know that it is the countdown to the new year. 2025 is coming, but for so many, we are thinking about the countdown also to January 20th, where we have President-elect Donald Trump, who's going to make it into office. Now, this is not without a little bit of victory on the part of Black women in America. We know that Delaware's Lisa Blunt Rochester and Maryland's Angela also Brooks, they're two Black women who will, for the first time, serve together in the history of the United States of America. We're going to open up by speaking with my panel about this topic. I am joined now by Dr. Julianne Malveaux, economist and author. She is out of Washington, D.C. Also with us, Jolanda Jones, Texas State Representative and lawyer out of Houston, Texas, and Joy Chaney, founder of Joy Strategies out of Washington, D.C. Good to see all of you here tonight. I've got all the J's tonight. I'm out of this with my C, Candace. All right, Julianne, Jolanda, and Joy, let's go. Let me first start by opening up this victory. I mean, it is a small victory when we think about the history of Black women in America, Dr. Malveaux, but certainly two Black women serving in the Senate at the same time is something
Delaware.
we're very proud of.
Absolutely. This is an amazing moment. First of all, you know, Angela also Brooks, I supported her heavily. I think I maxed out on the dollars. She is an amazing grace. She's a brilliant young woman. who I foresee great things from, but also she's a fierce young woman and she comes from the working class. And this is important when we look at the Senate, look at the average wealth of the Senate, which is the average wealth, about $3 million. For the average American, it's a fraction of that. So she's coming from a place where she gets us, not us black people, but us working people, us poor people. And so I think that that's really great. And then Lisa Blood Rochester, to have the two of them together as a partnership is a really great, what can I say? Really great tribute to Black women and our work. That's our work, Women with Men, Nokia Ayiti. They were behind both of these women. Thousands were raised thanks to Star Jones because we want to support those women. And so here we are. Now we have this is a victory. So we cannot do anything as we have to celebrate this. We just have to celebrate this. And whatever else is going on, we have to celebrate this.
So, Jolanda, let me turn to you. I mean, two women certainly making history, but certainly not a lot. When we look at the numbers, what are your expectations? What do you think they can do in terms of their new positions of power and how they can make that work for change and really kind of speak to all of the things that they promised during their campaign?
That we have to manage expectations. They are in a Republican Senate. And I think the most value that they can do for each other is to be there to support each other. As an elected official myself in Texas, and I don't need to tell you about Texas, sometimes because we're fighting every day uphill with systems designed to oppress us, and sometimes we need reinforcements when we're having a bad day, which I respectfully submit to you with Trump and the Republicans controlling everything, they're going to have a lot of bad days. And they will know between each other what they are going through. And so their biggest, I guess the most positive thing about them is that they can work and support each other and actually learn how the Senate works, where the powers are. See if there are any ways for them to fit in with, the MAGA people going after the moderate Republicans. There may be some ability, but you also know the seniority matters in the Senate. So for us to think that two freshman Black women in the Senate are going to go and make a whole bunch of change, I just don't think that that's realistic. But they can try to stop things. I don't know what their strong points are. Like I know that in Texas, for example, we have points of order where we can actually stop bad legislation. I think that they need to take the time to learn those things that they need to learn in order to figure out how it works, and then be there to support each other when they have uphill battles all day, every day.
Joy, Jolanda does bring up a good point, and that they will have to support each other. This is a Republican-led Congress. They will have to find the means to make a way. But as a strategist, what could they do to make their way a little bit more paved?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I think Lisa Rochester has going for her is that she's served in the body before, right? She's been not in the Senate, but in the House, right? So she has a sense of the rules, right? She has a staff that is a federal congressional staff that comes along with her. We know Angela Brooks, my incoming new senator, because I'm from the DC area. I live in Chevy Chase. We're very excited about. They're both experienced. And I think that one of the things we'll have to understand is that in the Senate, it is based on hierarchy. And so they're going to be presiding over the Senate many days. Well, actually, no, not them, because we don't control the Senate anymore. But they will have rules to play that are not glamorous ones. But that's how it works, right? You want to pay your dues. You want to get in there. You want to do the work of being a young new senator. You want to get to spend time with the other senators, go to the prayer meetings, go to the prayer breakfasts, get to know them, get to know the Republican senators. Despite what we see on TV, it is a play. And by the way, I'm experienced in this. I'm a former Senate chief of staff. It is a place where you have to get to know people. Give a shout out to my former boss, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Get to know her. She's really great about navigating the Senate. and then you will build up those relationships. They'll teach you, from your other senators, about fundraising and what the rhythm is like, and what committees build on other committees to make sure you're in a position that you want to be in, not just for today but the long haul. And so those are the things that I would recommend that they do. Get in line and just do the hard work of laying the groundwork of building a strong foundation in the Senate and making sure that you can come back in your second term. That's what the first term is all about, making sure that you are sending money whenever you can, even though we don't know where we're going to land on earmarks, as often as you can back, getting constituent services. Senate offices are pretty much social worker services offices. Getting your constituent services up and running immediately, so that when people call you, they can reach you. They have an issue. There are going to be a lot of people.
If I could just jump in here, I think Joy is giving some really great advice on one hand. On the other hand, especially about the constituent services, which are really important. You can live or die on those. Now, other piece of it is that I don't think that these sisters need to go in there being Mr. Bojangles, Joy. I know that that's your experience, and with
not Mr. Bojangles.
Let me finish, Sister Mark, please. Let me finish, because what I really want to say is they came in to disrupt, and I would encourage them to disrupt. Angela also Brooks is a brilliant disruptor. Lisa Rochester, a little bit less so, but still a disruptor. And so they don't need, they should do the meetings and blah, blah, blah. You're giving them interesting advice. Obviously, I disagree with much of it. I do agree with the whole notion of getting to know people, but I think that they should not Bojangles it. They should come in fierce and strong, because that's how they were elected.
Joy, go on. No, go ahead, Joy. I'll let you jump in before we move on.
Definitely not Bojangles, but
I don't think going in to learn how the body works is Bojangling.
Yeah,
so I didn't take it like that.
No, there are 100 senators, and what every senator sees in the mirror every morning? A president. They all think that they can, do it. And so just know that, there are 100 of those personalities, and you are at the bottom of, that rung. Even Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, when they went in, people would ask Barack Obama, what's it like working in the Senate? He's like, I sharpen the pencils. I'm at the bottom of the list. That doesn't mean you cannot rise, and it doesn't mean you can't be a disruptor, but people do want to get to know you. And if you want to have higher aspirations, you will need those senators to support you. So you do want to get to know them. You do want to get the rules. The Senate, especially when you have a Senate where it's going to be held by a Republican majority, knowing the rules of the Senate is really important.
It is.
Right?
And I think we can all.
Well, nobody says they should know the rules, but guess what? They also should have the ability to break them. They should learn them, but they should also break them. These sisters came in as disruptors, and I want them not to be influenced by you, but by me, to say keep disrupted.
But I agree, but you've got to come in and you got to halfway play the game. You can be disruptive and people not know you being disruptive. And a perfect example of how somebody came in disrupting and now she want to ascend to leadership and couldn't is what's the Congresswoman
AOC
out of New York? AOC. She came in disrupting. She came in endorsing people against her colleagues. So guess what? Them colleagues ain't about to support her for nothing. So you've got to be super nuanced. And I think the best thing an incoming person into any elected body can be is to go in and learn the rules, figure out which rules you're going to master, figure out where the power resides, go talk to people, carry their briefcases, sharpen their pencils. You might even play like you don't know what you're doing, and you might play dumb, and you might flatter them to get them to spill secrets to you that you will use very effectively once you've been there a little minute to be an effective disruptor.
All right, I'm going to jump in here because listen, two sides of the coin there. I want to hear from the comment section what people think about these two sides of the coin. Before we go over to Shamari Figures, let's go down to Alabama. Listen, not since the 1832 has someone been in the House of Representatives in this position, a person of color. Certainly a big deal, but there had to be a redesigning of the district in order for this to happen. You know, Dr. Malveaux, this is why we recognize what is happening when it comes to redlining and fight in courts to make the change. Here we have District number 2, a big deal, obviously, because this is someone who finally was able to cross the bridge and win. That's for Dr. Malveaux.
I'm looking at Alabama and that District 2 and the ways that it had been gerrymandered and what people have done persistently to stop the gerrymandering. And I think that this is a victory, but it's also a challenge. Mm-hmm. And the challenge is that it's a one-off. We have legislatures changing. We have judges changing. This is a good thing, but it's not a permanent thing. And that's what I think we're all concerned about. Shamari Figures is a great candidate, great guy. But is this a sustainable victory? That's my question. Is this a sustainable victory?
Joy, I'm going to pass the baton to you. Is this a sustainable victory? Is this just a one-off? Obviously, something we can all be proud of, making headlining news, and we'll be watching to see what he does next, having already worked in the Obama administration. But what are your thoughts?
So first of all, full disclosure, Shamari, his friend, at least his wife, is a very good friend. I texted with her to say that we would be talking about him tonight. I think that, this is a pattern for when, courts work to protect Black voters, and we could end up here where we could actually win. And then the party supported him. And he was someone from the state who had federal experience, went back home, was able to really advance, and there was a lot of support around him. The party supported him. This is sort of, I think, a pattern, not just for him, but I think that we can see repeated elsewhere, especially when we pay attention to redistricting. We are armed. So I hope that we are gearing up for that when that time comes around coming forward, which means we need to be preparing now, so that we can be ready to be able to fight these battles. And it's going to be like this district by district. Let me just also say this. Shamari is a young guy. He is a family man. He is someone who represents, when people see him, they see themselves in him. They feel like, the Democratic Party isn't all octogenarians, which we love them too, but we have to have intergenerational leadership. So I'm just so excited about not just him winning in District 2 and what we were able to do with the redistricting there, but his runway. Young guy running means that we can have a long runway. Perhaps, who knows, get a president, Shamari Figures.
Yeah, Jolanda, certainly she's making a good point. Listen, the younger the better in terms of how many decades of our life will he be potentially in office. Just a good precedent, I think, in terms of how the court system works that brought us here to now. A small victory in some ways, a big victory in many other ways, but certainly more than a good start, Jolanda.
So I think it's a big victory. I think there's not going to be redistricting until 2030, right? So he'll hold on to that seat for at least 6 years. I think what's beautiful about Congressman-elect Figures is that he comes from people who can help him. His mom is a great senator. His dad was a senator.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys know this, but his father represented the woman, I can't remember her name, who bankrupted the KKK. So, and he's a lawyer. So as a lawyer myself, there are some skills that we have that help us figure out how to navigate systems and are able to find the right answers. He's smart. He showed that he could win in a big field. There was a big field that he had to win, and he won in a runoff against a very, respected state representative in Alabama. And so I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see a Black man be in Congress. I think representation matters. And again, some people get elected and they are the first person in their family and they're not from a political environment. And so they're there by themselves. And I think the beautiful thing about him is he has the right degrees. He has the right life experiences. He's got a family to keep him grounded. He's got 6 years before he has to worry about redistricting. And he's got some people who can help him navigate the system. So I am excited. And I believe that in DC, under these very difficult circumstances, that Democrats are going to stick together, I hope. But Black Democrats are going to stick together because they know the target is on us. So way to go, Congressman-elect. I can't wait to call you Congressman.
All right, 6 years, certainly a lot of time to make some headway. When we come back, we are going to be talking about someone who was not strange at all to going viral, being in the headlines, a congresswoman from Texas. You're watching the Roland Martin Network. I'm Candace Kelly, and we'll be right back after these messages with more for what to expect down the line in 2025 for headlines that were made in 2024.
How long is the break?
Now streaming on the Black Star Network.
I was challenged by my uncle early on, before I even had a career. Like I was maybe 8 years old, and my uncle said, "What do you want to do?" And I told him I wanted to be a rapper. And he said, "Okay, well, I don't know anything about the music business, so what you should do is learn everything there is to know about the music business, and I'll make sure that you have the resources to push you through." And so I went and bought books, All You Need to Know About the Music Business, Hit Me In. I just went and bought a bunch of books and just started reading as a 10-year-old, just reading. And so I learned, all things licensing, mechanical rights. I learned about publishing, learned about how composition is broke up into two pieces, the writer's portion and the producer's portion. But by the time I actually learned, I came back and I was ready to okay, I got it. He would go into prison. So I had all this information.
All this knowledge.
All this knowledge.
You like, well, what I'm going to do with it now?
Curl Prep Natural Hair Solutions at curlprep.com.
I'm in stock.
For curls, locks, braids, twists, and even those wigs and extensions. Women, men, and children are loving this line. Look at this video and you be the judge. People line up to see this product in action at hair shows, and when they take a seat and try it, they don't believe it's their hair. Buy the products at curlprep.com. It works on all hair types. Use code ROLAND, that's ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount. Parents, remove the ouch. You will love this system because you can comb the product through your child's hair with your fingers. It's all at curlprep.com. Use code ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
Hey, this is Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. That boy, he always unfiltered though. I ain't never known him to be filtered. Is there another way to experience Roland Martin than to be unfiltered? Of course he's unfiltered. Would you expect Anything less? Watch what happens next.
All right, as we look at 2024, we have to look at Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She's no stranger to going viral, but this year, it was this moment that sparked many, many, many viral moments.
Now the chair recognizes Ms. Green for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
part of
I'm
the.
trying to find clarification on what qualifies.
Chairman, motion to strike
I
those
had no idea what
words.
you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You just voted to do it. You just voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down.
No, because this is what y'all do.
Proceeding.
So I'm trying to get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not recognized. Ms.
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
And
yelling.
You don't want
calm
me to
down.
Be, no,
Can you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk
Calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can we
come and
send her
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
All right, her alliteration caused many creators, including Roland Martin Unfiltered's own Keenan, to make some great music.
Bad little frame, bad little frame. Bleach blonde bush, better shut your trap, ain't got no game. Bleach blonde bush, bad bill shame, bad bill shame. Whole lot of frontin', whole lot of frontin', all in my lane. Bleach blonde bush, bleach blonde bush, bleach blonde bush, bad bill frame, bad bill frame. Bleach blonde bush, bleach blonde bush, better shut your trap, ain't got no game.
Yeah, it makes you move a little bit. listen.
Hi.
Jolanda, what's going through your mind when you see this again and as you move your shoulders a little bit to the beat?
So I served with Congressman Crockett for a small segment when she was in the State House. And the thing I love about Congresswoman Crockett is this. She literally uses her street skills, because growing up in the hood is real important, because you got to be able to come back. She uses her legal skills, i.e. she challenged them on a point of clarification using their parliamentary procedure after the House let Marjorie Taylor Greene be disrespectful and talk about her eyelashes. And sometimes you need to say stuff to get people's attention. And what's important about that is it challenged the notion, because poor people consistently say that politicians are not in touch with their constituencies. They talk over their heads. And Jasmine made it real simple.
That's right.
What was going on? She made it real simple. And she basically used Black nomenclature, because we've all heard of bad built people. We've heard of, butch built people. We've heard of bleach blonde ditzes, which those 6 words brought so many different thoughts into my mind, right?
Yeah.
But what it did most importantly is it pushed back on bullies who are not accustomed to being pushed back on, because the Republicans think they can out yell you, out shout you, and because they have the numbers, then they can just bring you down. And I thought that Congressman Crockett was brilliant. I also believe that Black people felt empowered because people culturally appropriate us. They never listen to us. And guess what? She won that.
She did.
She won that. And she didn't just win that for that moment in Congress where she made them think about, y'all want to talk about decorum? Well, this ain't decorum. But she made Black people feel great, just like that whooping on that ferry the year before.
Joy, I think one of the things that Jolanda brought up is 100% correct. And that is that she has the ability to really speak to people in their own language, make them feel like they are part of this world that so many people feel like they are shut out from. You know, folks still won't go to vote, but she's someone who opens the door and says, come on in, I'm talking your language.
That's right. She is brilliant. She did challenge them on the rules, right? So she understood, for all the watching, you got to know the rules in order to challenge them. And then you can challenge them in your own language, right? In your own, you know, with your own flair, which is what she did, which is what we love. And people want to believe that their members of Congress are fighting for them, right?
Yes,
so
they do.
definitely not one who engages in that kind of decorum. I don't. Did I love it? No. If my kids had been watching that day, I would have been humiliated that they were watching, you know, this whole display. That said, I may be wrong about that. Many people are looking at that and feeling like, you know what? When people challenge me like Marjorie Taylor Greene did, when they talk to me like she did, sometimes you got to growl back. Take it to them. Let them know that that's not acceptable and it won't be tolerated. And they need to feel that people are willing to kind of get in the muck a little bit on their behalf. And that's what Desmond Crockett does. And she does so brilliantly. So even though, yes, I already discussed that I'm a Senate person and we don't like that. But it is sort of how you have to mix it up sometimes in the House. And frankly, it reminds people that no one denies that if you're a constituent of hers, that she is fighting for you.
Yeah, you know, Dr. Malveaux, a lot of doors were open for her to respond to. They assessed her looks. They assessed how she talked. They basically said she was a wild woman. Calm down, calm down. These were all things. These are all things that, taken one in and of itself, you just can't do to any woman, especially not a Black woman on the floor. You know, when you are in Congress, not a good idea. And she showed them.
Absolutely. First of all, it was a brilliant alliteration. The B, which built, whatever. It was a brilliant alliteration, and it showed her chops as an orator and as a sister in the struggle. Number two, Marjorie Taylor Greene. What can we do with her, folks? Can we figure something out? Can we like have a paper bag party on her behind? Y'all know what I mean. But because she's just out of order, out of line. She's talking about people's eyelashes because she can't read. Because if you could read, you would understand these people are reading the same documents you are. So just Marjorie Taylor Greene, goodbye, 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 goodbye. But most importantly, what Jasmine Crockett has done, as I think both of my colleagues have said, she has empowered Black folks to push back. And there has to be a pushback because too much of up these days. We're hearing about a little boy in Cape Cod who tried to drown a Black child. We have Roland regularly features these Karens and crazy people who refuse to allow people to have access to their own space. And so then we have this woman who's a congresswoman who disrespects other congresspeople, but we have one who pushes back. And that's a blessing, and that's a lesson, and that is empowerment for our young women and men. We don't have to take this spit, and we won't, and we simply won't. Hey, to Marjorie Taylor Greene, may she live in Congress for a very long time. May she thrive and grow and help all of us. I'm excited for her.
Well, let me say this real quick. It was a perfect example of Marjorie Taylor Greene and the people that couldn't control the circus in Congress. They effed around with the wrong person and they found out.
There you go.
All right.
For pods going forward.
Let us talk about now Trump and his immunity. That was a big one during 2024. Ultimately, I think a lot of people would argue, Joy, that Trump was a winner in all of this. I mean, not only was he on the cover of Time magazine, but when we look at what the Supreme Court said and their decision about Trump and whether or not he was immune, official acts versus unofficial acts, there was a lot of leverage that he was given. What are your thoughts about Trump, his immunity, and where we see that going in 2024? Because these charges perhaps could come back once he's out of office. The fact that he's in office, that draws the distinction, Joy.
Yeah. Well, let's be clear. Time magazine, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Hitler was on the cover of Time magazine once. Persevere can be a negative thing or a positive thing. So I wouldn't take that, take that from what it is. Yeah, I mean, he lost some, but he won some. That is the nature of courts, right? Ultimately, he won the ultimate prize, which was he was able to be reelected. And that's really all this was about for him. For us, we were engaging in the rule of law and doing, what was, necessary. A person was violating the law with impunity, given many opportunities to find some kind of plea deal, some kind of out, chose not to take any of those. He wanted these things to go to trial so that he could have verdicts, so that he could use them as fundraising mechanisms, so that he could use them to rally his base, and it worked. Some of these cases will come back. He will probably commit more crimes that will have to be investigated. I think the Supreme Court has made it very difficult to consider doing that. They've made being president really above the law. And so I think we're going to see those laws, though, tested the bounds of. We're going to have lawyers who are willing to take the case, bring it forward so we can provide parameters around what it means for the president to have almost complete immunity for all decisions made. We're gonna have to test sort of what that means within the context of his job. I think that's what we're gonna go used to. Whether we're gonna see any of these things that are based on the first administration come back later, probably unlikely. Probably unlikely. I'm sure some of them will be time limited out. Others of them, just the moment has passed. He is. I just think that you have to pick and choose what are going to be your priorities. But I think more important is figuring out where are the bounds of this Supreme Court decision, and frankly, holding him financially liable. I think there will be financial liability, but I don't think we're going to see him in jail, guys. And we got to let that go.
Yeah, Dr. Malveaux, interestingly enough, the door is open for charges to be potentially brought back. But like Joy said, statute of limitations, and will anybody be interested in bringing those charges? But at this point right now, we know that Jack Smith has dropped those 4 charges. And so Trump, he's smiling in these pictures for a reason.
He's smiling for a reason. He's off the hook for a number of things. And I think that if we go back, it's not likely that 4 years from now, first of all, never mind, I'm not going there. But 4 years from now, really, is there going to be an interest, or is he going to be alive to basically deal with what goes on? So look at that. I think basically he's off the hook. But that doesn't mean he's off the hook. Because what we have is a person who has been convicted of 34 felonies. We have a person who is liable for at least $5 million and perhaps more for a sexual
sexual assault. Yes.
Yeah, sexual assault of E.G. Carroll. We have a person who is on the record talking all kind of major spit. And so while he may be off the hook in the shortest run, in the longer run, what we have is a flawed president who basically, this is his legacy. His legacy is that he's a liar, a crook, a loser, and whatever else we have to say, that there it is. So, I think Joy is right. We're not going to see in 4 years. People are going to go after him if he's even with us in 4 years. But I do think that there's always going to be an asterisk behind his name when you talk about this 47th president. And that's the bottom line. He's never going to be free of what he did, although he'd like to be.
That's right. In fact, today we heard from the courts that $5 million defamation fine that he had is not going away. That just happened today. So you do win some, you lose some, Jolanda.
I just think that, so again, I got to put my lawyer hat on.
Okay.
I think that Trump's immunity has long-term negative effects for this country generally and for Black people, period. Trump is now let loose by Supreme Court, who said, screw stare decisis. For those of you who aren't lawyers, stare decisis, for the most part, in lay people's terms, is the rule is what the rule is. Sort of like we had a right to abortion, sort of like Black people had civil rights. And the Supreme Court has said, screw all that. And whatever Trump does is okay. They absolutely vote on very important issues along party lines. And I fear that Trump is going to put more people on the Supreme Court, which is why he appeals everything. Because he knows if they can find a federal question in there, because there's got to be a federal question before to go to the Supreme Court, that he's going to get off. And it terrifies me. And yes, people will fight. They will. But Trump has really stacked the courts for the rest of his life and probably for his estate when he dies to protect it for his children. And he is going to do everything he can do in all of his cronies to put America in a place, in a space to go back. I'm telling you this. It terrifies me as a lawyer. And if he dies in office, he's setting the stage for J.D. Vance, who's worse than him, to take office. I worry, again, as a lawyer, if we'll even have the right to elections, to free elections. So trust me, Trump, with the one thing I can say about that man, and he is an evil man. The one thing I can say about him is he's been playing chess when everybody else has been playing checkers. He's been putting young people in office. The Republicans really have been doing that. And they are trying to figure out what laws they can undermine. They take these little lawsuits in little obscure places and nobody's paying attention to get them up to the Supreme Court. And he is going to set us back. And I don't know how long it will be before the Supreme Court, granting him immunity, has put him in a position to be the most dangerous man in the universe. And he absolutely is. And I pray that we come out okay after this.
Jolanda, I'm going to stick with you because you mentioned the court system. You mentioned how he stacked them. And when we look at 2024, we cannot not talk about Justice Clarence Thomas and the ethics violation. The fact that it was only 2023 where there were first a set of guidelines that were applicable to the United States Supreme Court of America. Here we are, investigations have just finished up, and we're looking at somebody like Clarence Thomas, who they're saying took many trips. What do you say about the Supreme Court and these ethics violations that they have been running from for quite a while? In fact, the guidelines that they have to follow in terms of what they've gotten, they're voluntary still.
All I can say is this: Clarence Thomas is the epitome of Stephen on Django Unchained, and as a consequence, he absolutely hates being Black. He married an ugly white woman. Hate to say it, but it's true. He has benefited, and those are the types of Black people that Republicans and conservatives like to put in places of power. And they're going to continue to make excuses for him, taking luxury trips, getting private tuition paid for his family members. Because you know what? Black people would have never got sold into slavery if it weren't for people who look just like us validating the slave catchers. And Clarence Thomas is that person. And I want him, I wish that he would be impeached. It's not going to happen. Again, right is right and wrong is wrong is how I was raised. But what I found out, especially since I've been elected and I've been in the back doors and I've been in the back rooms, when people are doing things, there are special rules for people that are supported by the people in power. And so, yeah, we're going to continue to find out things that Clarence Thomas has done, which started out with him doing what he did to a Black woman, and they overlooked that. And they overlooked that, and they're going to continue to do this. So what we have to do as Black people is we have to be prepared to fight. And I'll use a basketball analogy. I was in All-American basketball. We got to fight the other team, but we got to fight the refs too. And we just have to keep fighting, and we need to use the skills that we learned as enslaved people to come out of this on the other side. Don't know how long it's going to last, but I promise you this: that Supreme Court could literally set our civil rights back for at least 50
Well,
years.
they said they were
Or at
gonna.
least.
They said they were gonna do it. They said they were gonna do it when they took Dobbs back. They also talked about same gender marriage. They talked about a number of other things. That was Thomas. Clarence Thomas is a very damaged human being. But he said he talked about what they would take back, and so they talked about it, and now they're going to do it. And the issue is, as I think, as you said, Sister Jolanda, you know, some people play chess and others play checkers, and Democrats have been caught playing checkers far too many times. But neither here nor there around the chess and the checkers. The issue is, how do we go through the next 2 years? Because I'm claiming that Democrats will take the House back. I'm claiming that. But it's going to be some steady work. And I don't see anybody lining up to do the work.
Joy, yeah.
Let me just say, we're not even playing checkers. We're playing tic-tac-toe. You know, I'm not even going to worry about talking about Clarence Thomas. He is all the things that my co-panelists have already said, and then some. He's an embarrassment, whatever. But the truth is, he's doing what he can do because the Senate rules, the ethics rules for, you know, for judges that apply at the lower levels of the federal circuit do not apply to the Supreme Court. They are sort of on a, you know, honor code kind of, you know, we'll just do what's right kind of practice, and that obviously has never worked, not just for Clarence Thomas, but by so many, including some who have gone on. So Clarence Thomas is just following in the tradition, but he's a little more stupid. He's doing it more brazenly than the others, but he's learned from the best he knows he can, right? So that's what he's done. The real argument, the real shame, is that the Senate Judiciary Committee has not been able to hold the Supreme Court accountable, to improve, to change those rules, to even hold full public hearings in the way that they should have been held. That the Biden administration has not held them accountable. If the chief judge won't come to you, then you have to take it to them. We just simply have not done it. We have confirmed a lot of judges, and so I want to kudos to the Judiciary Committee, kudos to, you know, President Biden for confirming so many judges. But we have not held the Supreme Court accountable, and we have allowed that institution to diminish itself in terms of public trust and accountability. That is the Democrats' fault, because we were in power. We are still in power for another day or so over the United States Senate. And we did not take the opportunity to Jasmine Crockett style, right? Take it to them, fight for them. You know, we were too reliant on, like I said, it keeps coming up, that senatorial decorum where we wait for them. And then, you know, as my friend Ellie Stahl said, have we tried beseeching them? I mean, we literally have been too polite. The complete power grab by people who are completely unethical and will be viewed over time as unethical. And Donald Trump is counting on that. He's not only counting on their ability to be bought and paid for, but he's counting on us being too almost arrogant in our own superiority to just actually fight for the American people and fight for the Constitution.
All right. Well, listen, this was filling the headlines in 2024. We're going to see a lot of it still in 2025. It's still ongoing. Whether or not any of the justices will be held accountable, we will have our eye on that in the upcoming year. All right. Stay with us. We're going to have more of the headlines that you were talking about in 2024 as we count down to the new year. We'll be back after the break.
Curl Prep Natural Hair Solutions at curlprep.com.
I'm in shock.
For curls, locks, braids, twists, and even those wigs and extensions. Women, men, and children are loving this line. Look at this video and you be the judge. People line up to see this product in action at hair shows, and when they take a seat and try it, they don't believe it's their hair. Buy the products at curlprep.com. It works on all hair types. Use code ROLAND, that's ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount. Parents, remove the ouch. You will love this system because you can comb the product through your child's hair with your fingers. It's all at curlprep.com. Use code ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount.
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in Black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The Black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding Black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
Now streaming on the Black Star Network.
I was challenged by my uncle early on, before I even had a career. Like, I was maybe 8 years old, and my uncle said, "What do you want to do?" And I told him I wanted to be a rapper. And he said, "Okay, well, I don't know anything about the music business, so what you should do is learn everything there is to know about the music business, and I'll make sure that you have the resources to push you through." And so I went and bought books, All You Need to Know About the Music Business, hit me, and I just went and bought a bunch of books and just started reading as a 10-year-old, just reading. And so I learned, all things licensing, mechanical rights. I learned about publishing, learned about how composition is broke up into two pieces, the writer's portion and the producer's portion. But by the time I actually learned, I came back and I was ready to okay, I got it. He was going to prison. So I had all this information.
All this knowledge.
All this knowledge.
You like, well, what I'm going to do with it now?
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Cyrus, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood show and the Roland Martin show? Well, whatever show it's going to be good.
So let's talk about shootings. Certainly, we are not going to cover all of them. Unfortunately, there are just too many. But when we look at them, there are some that we do want to highlight. When we hear the name Sonia Massey, we hear the name Takia Young, Daniel Lewis. Daniel Lewis outside in the back had a gun on the back of his porch. He was shot by the police. Sonia Massey inside of her home, shot by the police. She thought that she was being burglarized. Takia Young, this was the 21-year-old who was fatally shot inside of her car by an officer. She was parked at Holger's. When we look at a lot of these cases, these are things that, they're just repetitive, Dr. Malveaux. I am not sure what is the answer here, but what are your thoughts about these shootings that just continue to happen? These police officers that plead not guilty and have gotten off on some charges. Of course, some of them held accountable. In terms of how many years they're going to be serving, but just a mixture of thoughts because there's so many shootings that police officers just are not answering to.
Well, this is lynching culture. Lynching culture says that white people can do whatever they want to Black people, or anyone can do, because not only white people, anyone can do whatever they want to do to Black people and expect no consequences. The good news is that over the past 2 decades, we've seen more consequences. We see more people arrested, but they represent perhaps 1% of those who kill Black people. And apparently it's okay to kill Black people. And while we have very great marginalized in the Congress. We have so many who are silent, and silence is complicity. When you look at some of these things, a sister is approaching her stove, boiling water. She says, I rebuke you. She did not make any move to hurt that man, but he chose to kill her in cold blood. And we have so many of those. And so I'm not sure, sister, where we go with this because it's too much. And I think that it's not just the incident and the people who are close to the incident, it's our collective consciousness about lynching culture. Again, understanding that people can do whatever they want to Black people and expect no consequences.
You know, Jolanda, this does say something about the system. I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see, we had AJ Owens out of Florida, Susan Loren, she did get 25 years for shooting her, even though at the time the shooting happened, she was able to go right home. But she was eventually sentenced. I just think it says a lot about the justice system, Jolanda. Depending upon where you live, the state, the street, the county, it all comes out to be very, very different.
I actually don't believe that it depends on where you live. Consistently, the vast majority of the times when police officers are charged with crimes against Black people, like killing unarmed Black people, they generally walk. Only relatively recently, with President Obama was president, were we even starting to see where police officers were being held, and I'll say partially accountable, because had they killed a white person, the police officer would have gotten life, the person would have gotten life or whatever. And I think that it's only going to get worse with Trump. It is now going to be more open season, because it's already been open season on us. Even, and part of my law practice is I'm a criminal defense lawyer. When you look anywhere, and here in Texas, for example, white folks and Black folks can do the exact same thing. White folks will get a warning, or they'll call their parents and take them there, and the Black kids will get put under the jail. So there's just disparate treatment. So there's disparate charging and there's disparate treatment. And all of the federal cases where police officers are charged or have been convicted with killing Black people, I absolutely believe, my prediction is that Trump is gonna exonerate them. That he's gonna pardon them. I believe that. I don't believe the federal government, when Trump is in office, will be prosecuting police or federal claims, civil rights claims, those kind of claims. It's going to be left to the states. And then that's when I think it's going to matter where you live. And if you're in an urban place, you probably have more of an opportunity to see some justice. But as long as they have governmental immunity for police officers, it is very different. It's very different. And even as between police officers, look at the color of the police officers who kill somebody. You look at those police officers, I think it was in Memphis, where they killed Tyree Nichols.
Sure, 5.
They didn't get convicted of like the highest ones, because it's
witness tampering.
Right. There's never a bad police shooting because collateral damage is okay because they're fighting the boogeyman or whatever. But white officers get off way more than Black officers. So even though that dude was an Omega and they were all Black and they were police officers, guess what they found out? They was Black first. So I think it's going to get worse. I think Black people really need to be worried. And if you think that it was open season on us, it's going to be the Wild Wild West on us. And we're going to see a lot less police accountability and convictions that don't get overturned or pardoned.
You know, Joy, a real lesson in civics and democracy here, because as Jolanda was saying, depending upon where you go in terms of charging up or down, well, most DAs are elected. Who did you vote for? You really need to know who you are putting in offices, because that's going to be the person that you are coming in front of if that ever happens to you. It is important who you vote for. We talk about in terms of president and Congress people. What about that DA? I think a lot of lessons here.
President to dog catcher. Every election matters. And in this case, we don't even have the Justice Department that'll be able to give them pause, right? Knowing that you can have a Justice Department that decides to launch its own investigation, or to, engage in some kind of pattern or practice investigation, some kind of deal with the police department to address not only the individual crime, but perhaps broader crimes that might be committed in the district. We don't, they will know that the Trump Justice Department is not going to do that. And worse, might even encourage attacks and more criminality against, Black and brown citizens and non-citizens who are at the hands of the police. What we know is true. Black lives just simply do not matter as much, just as we know Palestinian lives simply do not matter as much, just as we are going to know continuously that immigrant lives do not matter as much. That's what we ushered in. That's the new era, or the reverting back to old era that we ushered in. That has not changed. And yes, we had a few green shoots, right, with George Floyd, or perhaps we'll have some green shoots in what just happened in New York. But the fact of the matter is, the vast majority of the time they get off. They get off, especially when the things quiet down and we're not looking anymore. They simply get off. So, I can't say more than what my co-panelists have already said. Dark days are ahead in terms of police brutality, because we haven't really even addressed the ultimate issues, which is that it's not just that police are the problem. It's that we don't have the other resources in play that would help address some of the issues that are happening in our communities, right? And we have invested in training of officers when that's not enough. Just some of these police officers simply should not be on the beat. They are not fit for public service.
So we talked about police officers. I also want to talk about people who are out there, like Susan Lorenz, who we mentioned a little bit earlier. She got 25 years for shooting A.J. Owens, a Black woman who was a mother of 4. Then we have another private citizen. We've got Daniel Penny. He was also he was acquitted. Actually, 2 different outcomes. Jolanda, I'm really interested in your thought about citizens taking lives, taking the law into their own hands, and doing what they think is fit in order to defend themselves.
It's called vigilante justice, and it depends who doing the killing and who got killed. And it's terrible that you can predict probably what is going to happen. I mean, I didn't find it unusual that after Daniel Penny was found not guilty, that he was hanging out with President Trump and all them other anti-Black people that's about to have a whole bunch of power. And it is, for me, it's really sad. I mean, I read the history books back when they taught it in history, just a little bit about lynchings and things like that. And we thought after the civil rights movement, and which really it never ended, that we didn't have to see those kinds of things where they would break into your house and drag away families, look for kids to kill them. And we're going back. And so for those of us who don't appreciate that elections matter and that they do have consequences, when you see a lot of these white folks go and they kill us, and if you paid attention to the trial, you will see all the tropisms and the caricatures that they make of Black people. Of course, he had to be violent. That man didn't hardly weigh anything. He was a very slight man. And he literally held him in a chokehold for, I think they said 6 minutes, right? And he wasn't moving for like 5 of those minutes.
Right.
So, and you knew that he was knocked out, unconscious, incapacitated. And we know if we cut off your air, you are going to die eventually or have severe brain damage. I say that all to say this, that white folks are terrified that we're going to take over, and they are doing all that they can do to hold on to the power that they have, because they aren't making babies as much as us or as brown people. And this country and the world is going to see a lot more lack of accountability for people who kill Black people. Now, if the person had been white, there's no doubt in my mind that he would have been convicted. But again, as Joy said earlier, Black lives literally do not matter.
Listen, before we go to break, there's one more thing that I wanted to touch upon. I don't think it's going to take a lot of talking on each of our parts to talk about the pardon of Hunter Biden, as well as a pardon that is probably coming by Trump of himself. Joy, This was in the headlines all year. We finally got the answer this month. But Joy, we are not surprised.
No, I don't. Not only we're not surprised, Joe Biden would have been crazy if he hadn't pardoned his son.
That's right. Let's be
real. I mean, like, give me a break. Get out of town. Like, I can't even believe we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
But I never understood why he said he wasn't going to do it from the jump. That's the thing I think that's confused people. But Donald Trump is forget it, whatever. There is no way that Hunter Biden would have been in the situation he had been in, but for the fact that he was a Biden. This would not have been had gone forward. He would not be facing jail time, even if he were Black, right? That this was definitely politicized. But that said, whatever happens to Hunter Biden, I couldn't care less. God bless him. Whatever, jail, no jail, whatever. He is not my concern. My concern are the Black and brown people who are going to be under threat during this Trump administration. And let me just take it one step farther. If you've been listening to what people have been saying when they've been videotaping Black people being harmed or anyone being harmed by whether it's cops or individual citizens, they've been saying, drop that phone and engage, right? And fight back. And I believe we're going to have some situations where Black and brown people and white people too fight back. They might attack those cops who are trying to kill someone. They might attack that citizen who's trying to kill someone. And the real test of whether we believe that the lives matter is if we'll protect those people who are intervening and playing heroes. When they drop that camera and say, I'm not just going to videotape you killing somebody, I'm going to intervene. That is going to happen. And there are going to be a lot of white people, trust me, who are going to have their ass whooped.
Dr. Malveaux, we probably see a pardon coming from Trump of himself. Would you agree?
More than likely, he's going to do whatever he can to protect himself. He is in so much trouble with lawsuits all over the country with he's going to do whatever he can to protect himself. But let's be clear, he is a convicted felon. No matter what he does to protect himself, he is a convicted felon. And so, that is that. You can't take that away. There's so many other things that he's done that are not going away. The rape of or the sexual whatever of E.G. Carroll, he has now been found guilty, $5 million. And there's another $80 million on the table. Meanwhile, what my biggest challenge is that I don't understand how these people bought the bullshit. Excuse my language. I try not to curse just because Roland does. But why they bought the bullshit? When this man said he's going to lower prices. Did he lower prices? No. Then he turned around and said, I can't do that. Okay. There's so many things that he said he was going to do that just within these few weeks, he can't do. Here's what he can do. He can put a litmus test on appointees. You must have harassed a woman in order to be a Trump appointee. Don't y'all think that that's kind of how it is? You must have harassed a woman to be a Trump appointee. To the Congress, to the cabinet, to all of that. So as I look at this situation and look at what we have in front of us, all I have to say is that we have got to figure out how to push back. He is elected, and shame on y'all Americans who thought that was a good idea. But he was elected. We got that. But what can we do to fight back? One of the things that I'm proposing is that we look at people who are working class and push them for Congress. I think one of the things that Democrats did is they lost touch with working people. AOC is a good example of somebody who came out of nowhere. She was a barista or something like that. We need more people like that in Congress to really raise the issues. And I think that this is a time to begin to do some of that.
All right, Jolanda, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds before we go to break. We will see Trump pardon himself.
Oh, yeah, but here's the deal. Biden needs to pardon a whole bunch of more people. He needs to pardon all the Black people, especially electeds, that he's going to go after, and he can protect them from federal stuff where the Justice Department goes against them. Because these are the Black people we have left in Congress and in the Senate or wherever that to help us and they're going to go after them. That is what Trump is going to do. And we need somebody in government. So he needs to do more pardons, not less.
All right, Jolanda, thank you for nailing that in 10 seconds. We are going to take a break, but we're going to have more of the headlines that you have been talking about in 2024. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
For y'all, when you're on that stage or when you're and you're seeing 2 and 3, 4 generations in the audience, that's got to speak to you about the power of what y'all have become.
Oh, most definitely. I think we were doing our show before our tour, before our break, and remember, I was watching this kid. I could not take my eyes off him because he was about 9 or so. He was sitting in the front row with his,
over on the right hand side. Yes.
I was amazed that this kid knew everything, and I was like tripping to see how many songs this kid actually knew.
And he knew them all.
And he knew them all. We had to go over there and bring him on stage and take a picture with him, at the end of the show and stuff, because it was just that amazing. It's like, this is crazy.
The music travels everywhere, like what Philip was saying, seeing this young kid. Then you hear our songs on commercials, cold commercials. Then you have the younger ones that hear our music in animation.
Curl Prep Natural Hair Solutions at curlprep.com.
I'm in shock.
For curls, locks, braids, twists, and even those wigs and extensions. Women, men, and children are loving this line. Look at this video and you be the judge. People line up to see this product in action at hair shows, and when they take a seat and try it, they don't believe it's their hair. Buy the products at curlprep.com. It works on all hair types. Use code ROLAND, that's ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount. Parents, remove the ouch. You will love this system because you can comb the product through your child's hair with your fingers. It's all at curlprep.com. Use code ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
2024 was a year of indictments, accusations. Let's talk about Sean Combs. Let's talk about the fact that he still remains in a detention, in jail in Brooklyn. We know that this has now become the tale of two Seans, not just Sean Combs, but also Sean Carter. I want to open up the floor with you, Dr. Malveaux. He appealed so many times in order to get out. It didn't work. Sex trafficking, racketeering, amongst a list of things that he has been charged with. What are your thoughts about how this will turn out?
Well, it ain't gonna turn out right. We can just, I think, agree with that. I'm disturbed about a number of things around this. First of all, the allegations, which seem to be on point. At the same time, I want to put race into this and talk about the white folks who have done this and worse and have spent less time. I'm not saying that what Sean Combs has done is correct at all, but I'm looking at the racial implications of this. The other thing, however, is the predatory capitalist use of women's sexuality. The fact that women are easily and often trafficked, and that this is something that for many of us, including Black folks, seems to be okay. So I'm concerned about that. I don't have any good vibes about any of this. If the allegations seem correct and the charges seem correct, and at the same time, the racial differences seem glaring. And like I said, I don't feel good about this. I don't feel good about this. I have prayers to everyone, but especially to the women who have been trafficked and victimized. And we have to go back to that. We got to get rid of the celebrity, get rid of that, and go back to the women. Who are these women? What can we do to be supportive of them?
Jolanda, your legal hat is always on. Let's say
Always.
Sean Combs is your client. What are you telling him at this time? Are we looking for a plea deal?
Well, first of all, I'm waiting for discovery to find out the evidence that they have, right? Because sometimes evidence is good, sometimes it's bad. I've had murder cases thrown out. I've had court-appointed murder cases thrown out because when they come at you, they come at you. Now, generally, with like federal charges, they've done their homework and they have the goods. I will say that if you look at Weinstein and Epstein, they stayed locked up as well, right? The thing I say with Black folks, we have got to be careful. We can't get away with what white people get away with. We just can't. So we've got to ask ourselves, if this came to light, I mean, do we get out of it? And my standard for myself is what I do in front of my grandmother. If I can't do it in front of my grandmother, then I'm not going to do it. I used to be married to a professional basketball player. I've been around people in the entertainment industry. And the things that go on, I'm wondering why these women here, right? Because they're surrounded by misogynists, and I know they're trying to come up, but then the men are just arrogant. They're just arrogant, and I think that is a terrible combination to have. So this is America. We are innocent until proven guilty, at least in theory. Although I don't believe that that's how it works out in practicality. If I'm his lawyer, I'm asking, you need to tell me what you did, because we have attorney-client privilege. Because I can't protect you from or try to protect you from what I don't know. And as a lawyer, as a criminal defense lawyer, you hope, you wish, you pray your client tells you stuff, because there's nothing like being blindsided.
Right.
If I'm his lawyer, I'm telling him, go way back as far as you can remember. Anybody you have problems with, who doesn't like you, what do they know? Like what evidence do they have? Because the best lies are lies that have some truth in them. So they can go back to the truth and say, hey, now, if that's true, this got to be true. So right now, it's early on. They need to be evidence gathering. And they're not going to let him out. So, and he needs not, I would tell my client, do not talk on the phone. It's recorded. And I would tell my client to tell his family, tell your family they ain't got no friends. The only person that can help you get out of this, if you can get out of this, is me. They don't need to talk to anybody about this, because everybody's trying to come up. And you tell them just a little bit of truth, they will wind it. Next thing you know, they're famous and you locked up.
Joy, 2024, we heard a lot of witness tampering when it comes to Sean Combs. And of course, now we have this other added element of Sean Carter, which I think when he came out the gates, he hit in a little bit of a different way, certainly with a lot more punch there. You're a strategist. What are you telling Sean Combs and his people now, or even Sean Carter and his people?
So, I mean, Sean Carter needs to be quiet and be working his legal angles to try to stay as far from this as possible, and to say that this is about him being swept up in a fever. If you're Sean Combs, because I have a legal background as well, if you're Sean Combs, you're, as my guest said, you're also saying, look, this is ultimately about, what is the actual evidence? There has been a lot said, a lot of put out in the media, but ultimately this is going to go to trial. We're going to have actual evidence. We're going to see if there are any technicalities. You're going to try to pull any technical threads you can, because that's the only thing that's going to benefit you. His career is over, right? Public persona is over. He's trying to stay out of jail. Now, one of the things, and this is to talk about what Ms. Malveaux was talking about earlier, Dr. Malveaux was saying that, look, there is a racial element here. I want to see all these people go down. It is wholly unacceptable to me, and it always has been, that Black women have been allowed to be abused by the music industry, as well as any other industry, but we're talking about music industry. I don't want to get distracted. And it's being done by Black men, but not just Black men. It's also being done by some of the owners of these music companies, right? Including, Jewish people, white people, etc., who own these companies, who are making money off of our demise, who knew that these parties were happening and who are okay. So yeah, I want to figure out who was at the parties, who saw what when. They could all go down, as far as I'm concerned. Their music's not that good. Your talent does not excuse your criminality, but it can't just stop at them. We got to get all of these execs who allowed it to happen. I want them to go to jail too. It will be wholly unsatisfying if we get Sean Combs, a relatively small fish when you look at the entire music industry, and don't get the people who allowed it to happen, who encouraged it to happen, because it's how we kept people in line and distracted. So that, to me, is where we need to be focused. And frankly, if you're Sean Combs, you're also trying to figure out who is a bigger fish than you.
Sure.
Joy is really speaking to something that's really important, which is the culture of predatory capitalism and predatory misogyny as well. What I'm saying is that these things in the entertainment industry, and not only in the entertainment industry, and thank you, Joy, for raising that, these things occur because people allow them to occur, because they feel that they can't do anything different, because that's just how it is. But that's not how it is, and it's not how it has to be. And I think we really need to drill down. The wrong is wrong, but let's drill down onto culture.
Yeah. Jolanda, I want to move on. I want to talk about Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, the accusations that we saw on display. We heard every detail of it. It captivated the nation as we watched all the details. We learned about her father, places that they met. We learned about Nathan Wade. We learned about him being on the case. And then it ultimately happened, Jolanda. She is no longer on this case. I wasn't surprised. Were you?
I was not surprised. As I said before, Black folks don't get to do what white folks do, right? I'm proud to say that I was a host of a fundraiser here in Houston to keep her reelected, because we need people who are unapologetic and who are unfearful of Donald Trump. So now they've taken her out of it. So I don't know what's going to happen. I suspect that whatever prosecutor takes over for her is not going to be relentless in bringing down a criminal. Now, again, the beautiful thing about Trump's inability to pardon himself on state cases is that people like Fani Willis can bring state charges against the president, and he can't stop those. But let's face it, I'm elected, Fani's elected, we date people, we go out on dates. Why is it nefarious? There are a lot of people that date, like, you meet somebody in a I guess professional setting, maybe you end up liking them. So they were making something nefarious. I'm not convinced that their relationship had anything to do with this. And that is a tightrope that we as elected officials walk. And now my rule for myself is don't mess with nobody in the political arena. and mine is try not to mess with no lawyers either, right? Mm-hmm. Because there are ways that people that are evil can try to turn innocent things that normal people do. People meet people at their work. People meet people in church. Yeah. People meet people in professional events.
But Jolanda, really, I mean, on one hand, I hear you. On the other hand, the appearance of wrongdoing in this case was overwhelming. It wasn't that she just was dating the dude, it's that she dated the dude that she appointed to a very sensitive situation. So
Well,
I'm not down on my Sora at all. I think she's a bomb, but I really do think that discretion would have been the better way of dealing with this. And I think that she gave them an opening. And you know good and GD well that these people, these Trumpies, will take an opening wherever they can. So
but
it
you
would
heard,
have
but you heard what I
better.
said.
I'm talking, please. It would have been better if she walked on by the long, tall, very good-looking man until this thing had happened.
But can I just say, though, it wasn't about their relationship. It was that she appointed him to this role and then they didn't disclose it. Many people date. You're correct, especially within the legal profession. There's nothing wrong with that. Any kind of profession, even in workplaces, people date. But you know damn well you got to disclose it. You know that it can be an issue. You know that. And when you are on this stage, when you are dealing with a case as consequential as this one, a case with lawyers as competent as these will ultimately be. Now, some of the ones were not that competent, but you know he has people behind him. They're going to pull on every thread that is available. And so you handed it over to them. And then upon being caught, you did not preemptively get it out of the way and say, you know what? Maybe we didn't handle this right. Not only is he going to pull out, I'm going to pull out and let my office continue with the case. Let's not make me the issue. Let me move on. You say it's me. Okay, I'm out. She did not do that. She did not do that. She chose to fight. As really nothing. Sometimes you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. She did not do that in this case. It was a gross error in judgment, and we can love her. Fellow Howard, we can love her. We can think she's brilliant. We can appreciate her fight and still say, sis, in this, you called it wrong. You let your error.
No, I agree with you 1,001%. I think that a lot of us really appreciate the fight she put in and the work that team did. But I agree with you, Joy, 1,000%. I don't agree with you often that much.
But all right. So I want to say this. I want to say this really.
Very differently. She should
have.
I
want to say this really differently. I
mean, last word.
I said this before. When we achieve these heights that we achieve when we're elected, we have to be keenly aware that they're going to come after us. And as you said, Dr. Malvo, and pull threads, right? And so I think she did have some errors in judgment. Absolutely, she did. But a lot of times we don't need to get ourselves in situations because you can play it out to it because you have all of the information, right? We know what we're doing and we can project, okay, if this comes out, it's going to be really bad. And I think that as elected officials, we need to do a better job of deciding on these things. We can't do what regular people do who aren't.
No. Well, first of all, what y'all need to understand, I'm going back to years ago when I think it was Congressman Diggs from Detroit was convicted of some bullshit, for want of a better word. But the bottom line is, you Black. That means you're a target. That means that you have to be impeccable in your ways. Because guess what? If there's any little dropped thread, somebody is going to find it. And we've seen this time and again with our Black elected officials.
Dr. Malvo, I'm going to jump in because we have certainly a lot of other topics to get to as we look back at 2024. Stay with us. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered here live on the Black Star Network. We'll be back after a break.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
Well, y'all, when you're on that stage or when you're and you're seeing 2 and 3 or 4 generations in the audience, that's got to speak to you about the power of what y'all have become?
Oh, most definitely. I think we were doing our show before our tour, before our break, and remember, I was watching this kid. I could not take my eyes off him because he was about 9 or so. He was sitting in the front row with his,
Over on the
with
right hand
Clarence.
side. Yes.
I was amazed that this kid knew everything, and I was like tripping to see how many songs this kid actually knew,
and he knew them all.
And he knew them all. We had to go over there and bring him on stage and take a picture with him, at the end of the show and stuff, because it was just that amazing. It's like, this is crazy.
The music travels everywhere. Like what Philip was saying, seeing this young kid. Then you hear our songs on commercials, cold commercials. Then you have the younger ones that hear our music in animation.
Curl Prep Natural Hair Solutions at curlprep.com.
I'm in shock.
For curls, locks, braids, twists, and even those wigs and extensions. Women, men, and children are loving this line. Look at this video and you be the judge. People line up to see this product in action at hair shows, and when they take a seat and try it, they don't believe it's their hair. Buy the products at curlprep.com. It works on all hair types. Use code ROLAND, that's ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount. Parents, remove the ouch. You will love this system because you can comb the product through your child's hair with your fingers. It's all at curlprep.com. Use code ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
Seven, 76th governor in January of 1971. As President Carter's successes included an increase of nearly 8 million jobs, a decreased budget deficit, the Panama Canal treaties, normalized relations with China, and Camp David accords between Egypt and Israel. Carter's administration oversaw the creation of 2 cabinet-level departments, energy and education. Here's a look at others we lost in 2024.
Now streaming on the Black Star Network.
I was challenged by my uncle early on, before I even had a career. Like I was maybe 8 years old, and my uncle said, "What do you want to do?" And I told him I wanted to be a rapper. And he said, "Okay, well, I don't know anything about the music business, so what you should do is learn everything there is to know about the music business, and I'll make sure that you have the resources to push you through." And so I went and bought books, All You Need to Know About the Music Business, Hit Me In. I just went and bought a bunch of books and just started reading as a 10-year-old, just reading. And so I learned, all things licensing, mechanical rights. I learned about publishing, learned about how composition is broke up into two pieces, the writer's portion and the producer's portion. But by the time I actually learned, I came back and I was ready to okay, I got it. He would go into prison. So I had all this information.
All this knowledge.
All this knowledge.
You like, well, what I'm going to do with it now?
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in Black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The Black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding Black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
Curl Prep Natural Hair Solutions at curlprep.com.
I'm in shock.
For curls, locks, braids, twists, and even those wigs and extensions. Women, men, and children are loving this line. Look at this video and you be the judge. People line up to see this product in action at hair shows, and when they take a seat and try it, they don't believe it's their hair. Buy the products at curlprep.com. It works on all hair types. Use code ROLAND, that's ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount. Parents, remove the ouch. You will love this system because you can comb the product through your child's hair with your fingers. It's all at curlprep.com. Use code ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount.
I'm Russell L. Honoré, Lieutenant General, United States Army, retired, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, we are a couple of hours closer to 2025. Because of that, we're going to look ahead with my guests, figure out what are some of the predictions. Maybe there's some advice that they have to share as we go into 2025. Maybe advice of joy. I don't know. Maybe something having to do with, let's say, January 20th and what comes after. Joy, let me start with you. Hopefully we'll see a lot of joy, you and the joy that we feel in 2025. But what do you think or predict for this next year?
I think we're going to have to fight. We're going to have to be prepared to fight, but we're going to have to pace ourselves, which means we're not going to be able to run after every individual little thing. If you live in Washington, D.C., as Dr. Malvo and I do, go out of town. I just bought my ticket to Orlando, which is where I'm from. All the Republicans will be here. I'm going to be in Florida. Get out of Dodge. Be careful with yourself. And really try to have impact as opposed to running after every single thing that you could possibly run after in what will be the chaos of the Trump administration. And then I think it's also time to focus local. They're going to be looking towards national. We have to focus local. This is the time to run for office, to move back home if that's what you want to do. This is the time to invest in local candidates. To focus, you're thinking globally, but you're acting locally right now in this next 2 years.
All right, Dr. Malvo.
Well, I agree with Joy completely on this one. I do think that we do need to think locally. I think that there are lots of fights, lots of resistance, lots of stuff, low-hanging fruit that we can deal with. And so I think that's really important. But I think the other thing is everybody's focused on the cabinet. Let's look at the other people. Let's look at the undersecretaries. Let's look at the deputy assistant secretaries. I'm especially concerned about education, of course, being that I'm an educator. I'm concerned about what's going to happen in the Department of Education with this what the woman, she comes out worldwide wrestling or something, has about as much interest in education as I do in the planet of Mars. She's there. And so we're going to have to be looking. And we're going to have to find allies. The fact is that, how can I put it? We know we lost. We lost the election. We lost the Congress. We lost the Senate. But there's some good Republicans that we can find alliances with on certain issues. Every Republican is not anti-climate change. Let's look for that. Every Republican is not anti-education. In fact, Republicans have been really stalwarts in supporting HBCUs. Let's look for them. And let's just keep looking for allies who we can chip away at. These next 2 years will be really hard, but guess what? Nobody told me the road would be easy. God ain't brought us this far to leave.
All right, we should look for allies, but Yolanda, what else? What other predictions do you see for 2025?
So I actually took some notes because I wanted to make sure that I said them. So the first thing I believe that we need to do if we hope to take back local houses and national houses in government is that we, the people that are elected, we need to invest in young people and help show them the ropes and stop staying elected forever. That's the first thing that we need to do, which is why they really aren't engaged with us. The second thing that I think we need to do just as human beings is we, to those who are given much is expected, we need to be altruistic and help people because there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to have their needs met because of this election that just happened. I think that people in the future need to pay attention to how we vote, not how we tell you we are fighting for you. Because I think that if you actually pay attention to how we vote, that will tell you a lot of things that sometimes elected officials are not honest with what they do. I also believe, as Joy was talking about, you need to take a mental health break because this road is going to be tough. My father committed suicide. People may not know that. I was with my dad when he committed suicide. Believe me, I've had a whole bunch of therapy. Wow. Black people especially need to reinvigorate, which is why I'm leaving on a plane tomorrow to go to another country. I ain't gonna be here when the new year comes in. And then and because I believe this, that we are in moving forward come January, whatever day Trump is getting sworn in, we are going to be in the life or death fight to maintain our civil rights and to not go back. And we need to be ready mentally. And we need to be ready with our allies. And we need to pay attention because what we don't know can literally destroy us. Those are my predictions. And I'll be working out again if you can't see.
There. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Okay. Wow. You know what?
This is what 59 look like.
That is 59. Look. You got a lot of people who are going to be writing you. How did you
get
that?
This is what 71 looks like. Right?
All right. Well, listen. Listen, some great advice there. I also want to add this. I know that a couple of you are getting on a plane tomorrow or sometime soon. Also, let's think about a little bit of joy in 2025. We're here. That's half the battle. I know that we've got plans about allies and politics and mental health, and that is great. And mental health and joy go hand in hand. How are you bringing yourselves joy out there, everybody who's watching right now? We're here. That is half the battle. Let's also think about joy as we think about some other just things that we know we're going to have to deal with that we don't want on our plate in 2025. Let's be happy. We're here.
Candace,
yes.
Candace, joy is resistance. Joy is resistance.
It is.
We ain't pitiful. We ain't no ways tired. We are all that and 3 bags of whatever kind of chips you eat. I am excited for 2025. I'm probably the eldest on this conversation, which is okay. And I'm really grateful. I mean, I'm in a space where I'm just thanking God for everything.
Yes.
And thanking God for y'all. And thanking God for the many ways that we continue to rise. As Dr. Martin, who was one of my mentors, said to me years ago, people, and y'all have heard it, people don't tell you, if people tell you who they are, believe them. She also said, getting old ain't for sissies. Because there were always going to be challenges. The older you get, the more challenges you're going to deal with. But the last thing that she said that sticks with me right now is whenever I think of you, I call your name. Whenever I think of you, I call your name. All of us have had so many people that have been so meaningful. Do we call their name? Do we call them up? Do we deal with them? That's where we are. And it makes me smile to have had a mentor who gave me so much wisdom to say, when I think of you, I call your name.
And we are going to end on that high note today. I want to thank all 3 of you for especially ending on joy. Joy, Dr. Julian Melvo, Delonda Jones, and Joy Chaney. Happy New Year a little bit early, and thank you for allowing us to go through 2024 with you. We always love what you have to say, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year, and we look forward to seeing everybody out there who is watching us now. Throw some comments below. How are you spending the new year? How are you bringing joy? I'm Candace Kelly, filling in for Roland Martin here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Happy New Year a little bit earlier, and see you in 2025.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Love you, sister.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?